Hello, one and all, and welcome to another episode of The Kickout, the final word in pro wrestling. Just want a brief reminder that we are powered by Lopez Pizza, built by Durham Remodeling, colored by Ryan Allison Tattoo, and protected by Jared Zook of Country Financial. Of course, I am not alone on this venture, this card subject to change extension podcast known as The Kickout. I would feel terrible if I didn't introduce my co-host and tag team champion partner, Mr. Never Wrong, Nick Bull. Nick, how you doing tonight?
Hey, I'm doing great. Midweek here. We're halfway to the weekend. Let's talk a little wrestling to get us through and get us through this week and on to the next thing. We had a great episode this past week on the Card Subject Change podcast with Shane Boucher. Make sure you go back and check that out. A great visit with Shane. I'm sure it's the first of many visits with Shane. Great time we had with him. There was a big fight this past weekend between Mike Tyson and Logan Paul that seemed to captivate and seemed to be what everybody was talking about. I think I know what you want to talk about, CZ, but I'm going to go ahead and ask you. Hey, CZ, what do you want to talk about?
Well, you mentioned the big fight this weekend, which I know it's not wrestling, it's boxing, but it's wrestling adjacent. Mike Tyson, of course, being a former celebrity from the WWF at the time, WWE. Jake Paul, of course, his brother Logan, a former United States champion. But really want to focus on WWE is moving Raw, Monday Night Raw, to Netflix starting in January. And the big buzz around the boxing world and the Netflix streaming world were the streaming issues during the main event, during the fight this past weekend. And it's got me wondering, Nick, and I'll just throw it out to you first and foremost. What does this move to Netflix mean for the WWE with the streaming being what it was for their first ever live show?
You know, I think a lot of people are jumping to extremes when it comes to the Netflix streaming and what this means for WWE. We got to step back here and realize that this this Jake Paul and Mike Tyson thing is almost like on the level of the Super Bowl when you talk about the casual fan tuning in. There were a lot of casual fans tuning into this fight because A, everybody was talking about it, yep, and B, it's on Netflix, right? You didn't have to pay an outrageous amount of money, $99.95 for a boxing pay-per-view. It was streaming on Netflix. And I mean, I know it was behind a paywall of sorts, but I don't know. People ask me to lead up this fight, how many, I threw a number out there to some friends I was talking about. I thought maybe 75 to 80% of let's just say the United States has Netflix. I don't know. I could be wrong, but that's kind of the number I threw out. And I'm not a boxing fan by any stretch of the imagination. I wouldn't go out of my way to watch a boxing match on Norm.
Right.
But this was a spectacle. This was something that the casual fan would tune into. And I think I don't know the numbers it did yet. I'm sure that information will be out here soon. But you've got to think more people were tuning into that than they would for a weekly episode of Raw. And that's not to diss Raw. Raw is just not going to draw that kind of audience. I don't think that this boxing match or drew. So I don't think the streaming is going to be an issue when it comes to Raw. I think you had so many people tuning in. I'd be worried maybe if I was the NFL. I know the NFL is streaming their games on Netflix on Christmas Day. I know that could be a concern of sorts. But I think for the average wrestling fan that's tuning in to watch Raw on a Monday night, I don't think that we'll have the issues that they did with this boxing match. What do you think, CZ?
I mean, that I can agree with that. It has to, a lot of it, I'm sure, had to do with bandwidth and people tuning in. But honestly, at this point, it's kind of a wait and see game, in my opinion. You mentioned the NFL and streaming their games later this year on Netflix. I guess we should see how those do and see if Netflix has learned from this Tyson fight how to improve their bandwidth and how to improve the stream with so many people tuning into their service.
Well, you're absolutely right. I guess, Christmas Day would be the final run through because start of the new year, Raw's new home is over on Netflix. Our understanding, the pay-per-views will still be on Peacock for the foreseeable future. I know that Peacock deal is still good for the pay-per-views and whatnot. But I would like to think that Netflix has probably got, the worst report they could possibly get, a lot of consumer and customer complaints, that they're going to have these kinks ironed out by Christmas Day when the NFL streams their game. And if they don't have them ironed out, they definitely will by the new year. They paid a lot of money for Raw to be broadcast on Netflix. And
yes, they did.
Like they paid a lot of money for the Paul and Tyson fight. However, they've got time to get this stuff ironed out. I don't think the influx of people watching Raw is going to be anywhere significantly close to the number that watched the Tyson Paul fight. And that's not a diss on wrestling or Raw. It's just not as many people are going to watch it. You've got your diehards, you and I in this room that will watch it watch Raw on Netflix, and the other fans that watch Raw on Monday nights. I just don't think there's going to be a significant amount of jump of new people watching Raw on Netflix.
And I can see that. It'll be interesting to see how things play out, and I'm excited for the move. I'm excited to see what not having network TV restrictions and, for lack of a better term, standards and practices holding things back. But I'm definitely going to be all in with going to Netflix. Let's kind of turn things on its ear a little bit. Let's talk about the other guys, because there have been rumors for the last year plus about TK putting AEW on a streaming service. What are your thoughts on when and if this is going to happen? Because
I don't know if anything official has been released yet, but it's, by all intents and purposes, it sounds like they're going to be on Max, streaming on Max. And I think the sticking point for fans when they hear that it's going to be on Max and that the pay-per-views are going to be an additional fee, they're kind of yelling, why? Because we have this business plan in place with WWE and Peacock where you pay a monthly fee and the pay-per-views are included. I don't know how this is going to work for AEW. There are a lot of people that do have Max as a streaming service.
I do.
I know I do too. And you get to the point now where you've got, so many streaming services paying extra for one. You just don't want to. And right. I don't know how long AEW or their plan with Max, I don't know the contract. I don't know what the intentions are. But if you're asking people to pay an extra fee on top of their monthly bill for these pay-per-views, you might meet some people that are in an impasse and don't want to do that. So you might see their pay-per-view numbers go down, whereas they thought they might go up with this Max deal. It's something we're definitely going to monitor here, not only at the Kickout, but also on the Card Subject to Change podcast, because there are a lot of questions, around WWE and going to Netflix. And so I think there's a lot more questions with AEW and what happens when they go to Max and the pay-per-views and stuff like that. So it's definitely something to keep an eye on here. And we will, but I don't know. Like, I just don't know how many people that subscribe are going to cough up the extra money for the pay-per-views.
I can safely say that I will not be one of them. I mean, I already, pay-per-views are not in my budget. I try and get together with you or with other friends, and if I can throw in a little bit for a pool to watch these pay-per-views that AEW presents, I'm going to do that. I'm not going to spend 20, 50 bucks, whatever the extra is. I just can't afford it. It's too much. And if they are looking, as the rumors are saying, that they're going to go to a 12 pay-per-view calendar, whether those rumors are true or not, I definitely can't afford 12 pay-per-views at the prices they are now. I mean, I guess we have to see what the cost is, but as a casual fan of AEW, that's me. Obviously I'm not a casual fan of wrestling as a whole, but AEW, casual fan. I like their product. I'll watch their product because it's on, but I'm not going to go out of my way if I don't have to.
Right.
Obviously for the show, I'll watch it for show's sake because, this coming weekend is Full Gear. We're going to be reviewing that this coming Sunday. So, just to give you a little preview there. But not all of us can afford to spend every month, every 2 months, whatever, extra for that additional show.
It's something that they're definitely going to have to examine going forward, because you're not the only one in that boat. There are a lot of people out there that aren't going to be able to swing it or don't want to swing it because they're already paying for, X, Y, and Z on streaming. So it's going to be kind of the wait and see approach. We'll definitely keep an eye on it here.
And not only that,
it's going to be interesting. It's going to be very interesting to see how they handle it.
And not only just the additional streaming services, but there are people like I'll mention our good friend Rob Kammerer over on the MLW Confusion podcast. He's got a couple of different wrestling streaming services specifically, so he can follow and do. He does occasional reviews on independent wrestling shows from across the country. Of course, he also has the luxury of sitting in a hot tub full of pizza rolls, but that's neither here nor there.
Does he get burnt?
But no, I mean,
does he get burnt from those pizza rolls?
I don't know. I've never.
That's what I'm going to ask him the next time I see him.
Yes, that is a great question. Well,
because we've all burnt our mouth on pizza rolls.
Absolutely.
But I've never burnt my legs or my arms on a pizza roll.
I mean, we'll have to put a pin in that and revisit it next time after we talk to Rob next. Rob, we love you, buddy. But no, I mean, there are people like you and me. You have subscriptions to other wrestling services as well as just, or at least you did for a while. I don't know. We haven't talked much about that, but we would watch GCW on Triller or Fight Plus, whatever it is now.
Right.
I've had months where I've gotten IWTV for Dreamwave and for a couple of other promotions. There's High Spots TV. There's a number of other wrestling streaming services out there, let alone the regular streaming services that people are paying for. Mm-hmm. So putting those pay-per-views on an additional paywall, I think Tony's going to see his numbers falter a little bit, honestly.
Yeah, it's definitely something we're going to keep an eye on here. Definitely want to let the people know that this is the Kick Out. We're powered by Low Pies Pizza. We're built by Durham Remodeling. We're colored by Ryan Allison Tattoo. We're protected by Jared Zook of Country Financial. Hit us up on our socials. Let us know what you think about this impending deal with AEW and Max, their streaming deal that's out there that people have been talking about, paying extra for pay-per-views. Let us know. Hit us up on socials. Like, follow, subscribe, leave us a review. Let us know what you think. We'd love to hear what you think. We love interacting with you guys. But yeah, I think it's something we're going to have to keep an eye on here in 2025 as this new calendar year is about ready to start. And it's going to be a big move for AEW. And are they ready to take the next step? We will see. He's the Wizard CZ. You can find him at the Wizard CZ. Of course, I'm never wrong, Nick Bull. You can find me at NickBull55 on X and across other social media platforms.
And before we wrap up, I've got
whoa, what's going on?
I've got to give another plug to Rob Kammerer. I earlier in the week recorded an interview with him. On his show, he interviewed me, so that'll be dropping at some point this week as well.
Okay.
So,
that'll be on the MLW Confusion podcast,
yes.
Correct?
Correct.
Check local listings for that. But for the Wizard CZ, I am never wrong, Nick Bull. This has been the Kickout, the final word in professional wrestling.
This has been a For Frequency's Sake Podcast Network production. For more great content, subscribe to For Frequency's Sake on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter.